Yes, the floor is yours.
If he reconnects, later we can continue his presentation.
Yes.
Thank you
Dr.
very much.
Hilali, yes, the floor is yours.
Yes, yes. Hello,
You have
everyone.
20 minutes.
Hello, Majlin.
I don't.
See you.
Thank you so much. So I will just share my presentation.
Thank you very much.
So hello, everyone. I don't know if you hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you. So today I will present my work with Dr. Vasilius. Thank you so much for the passion for all. I think about 1 year. So today it's entrepreneurship teaching methods and student entrepreneurial intention, and the case of Morocco International University of Casablanca. So the objective of the research is how to understand the role of education system in development and culture, entrepreneurial culture with student spirit. So the use of educational tools used at university to foster students' entrepreneurial spirits and how to try to help them to work for real-world business challenges. So our work is about three sections. The first one is how to analyze the impact of entrepreneurial education on entrepreneurial intention with using a theory of planned behavior, and in order to focus on teaching entrepreneurship in relation to self-employment. So we will present educational methods relating to business simulation scenarios, like how to provide students with a business simulation to run a virtual company. So trying to help them how to use these tools in order to have the spirit before starting the real life.
Oh, wow.
So the objectives, it's students would take to analyze market trends, develop a marketing strategy and finance resources and so on. And try to present today the exercise that we used to help bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical application, enhancing critical thinking and problem method skills. Sure, here it's by helping students hands-on experience in managing this company. So the integration of entrepreneurship teaching programs into the curricula of certain university programs, like our university, UAC. So closer links between training and education systems, encouraging people to choose entrepreneurship as a career. So here we have recent studies have shown that entrepreneurship education programs and innovative pedagogically approaches can promote the development of spirits entrepreneurial, and the integration of hands-on projects, internship in startup, and try to develop also incubators enable students to apply their theoretical knowledge in entrepreneurial environments. So our case, Morocco, is education decision makers, so are advocating integration, and development of students, like, for example, soft skills, particularly in the area of innovation. So here we have like the last report of GEM, General Entrepreneurship Monitor. explained that Morocco emerged as a shining example of entrepreneurial spirits in the entrepreneurship, as evidenced by its 5th-place rise in the organization this year. So here I will be able to present the teaching methods that you used. So entrepreneurship education has adopted one of 2 pedagogical approaches: theory-based learning or practice-based learning, and the second theory is theory-based pedagogy, focuses on students understanding the entrepreneurship theories. I will start with a case study of International University at Casablanca. So the results of Morocco in general is a general population and housing census revealed that in the 3rd quarter of 2024, employment in the country rate increased to 21%. In his speech on Revolution Day in 2019, King Mohammed VI encouraged Moroccan youth not to neglect vocational training. It means that we don't have to have this classic way to understand, classic way to teach, but have this vocational training, trying to give youth more able tools. The Moroccan context presents similarities and differences compared to the international context. Morocco counts 12 public and 6 private universities. So our university is composed of 5 faculties, mainly the field of health, architecture, engineering, medicine, and as a private faculty of commerce. It's why where I work, it's the business school. So project-based learning is a pedagogical approach widely adopted in higher education. Entrepreneurship programs must be based on awareness, encourage students to think about choosing an entrepreneurial career. So training is also one of the pillars of this curricula, enabling students to acquire a body of theoretical knowledge that facilitates the creation of new projects. So the tools that we are used today, it's using information technology as tool for entrepreneurship education. So we have, for example, 2 tools: the online learning platform, business simulations, and collaboration tools provide students with interactive. And the use of these technologies, like for stimulate creativity, collaboration, and innovation among economics and management students. Our study methods is based on 2 methods. So we try to analyze and do interviews with some teachers, and another study method we were able to use was to analyze documents related to teaching content, like exercise that we used and so on. So, for example, the first example of tools used in class is to give students this table in order to understand how using and how define a project, like personal project, and how students could be able to have this idea while studying before start a real life. And for interview guide, we used 3 themes. The first one is entrepreneurship training and how this entrepreneurship training impacts entrepreneurship. The second one is training attributes, and the third one, and it's entrepreneurial intentions. So here is the table below, show that the characteristics of the study population. So it's about professor, research, teacher, head of finance department and management department, like that, so on. So the result, for example, this one, it's an exercise like a big project that we give to students before starting the course, in order to give them the opportunity to think about a product of their choice and give the teacher the report outline. For example, the diagnostic and analysis of the market. Based on this result, the students have to elaborate the choice of a marketing strategy, strategic vision, and so on. Second example is the same one. For example, this exercise is used in the digital marketing course, and given the student opportunity to understand and to have this project area and project spirit during the course. So the results of interview parts, it's that, for example, one teacher explained to us that he believed, I will cite, I believe that today's students no longer need traditional method. So we understand that traditional method is something that we don't have to use today. It's maybe more, today the teacher is no longer the only source of information. So we have to give the opportunity to students to give this theoretical part and pass to the practical one. The second participant, one head of department explained that we're currently content towards method where we push the student to be more involving in the learning process. So as a final result, we can understand that today the teaching experience at the Faculty of Commerce and Management in the International University of Casablanca is based on learning by doing. And this is the mainly idea is to push students to try to do the process by themselves. After this study at the International University of Casablanca, we can able to understand that conventional method, it's no longer give satisfactory results in terms of achieving course objectives. So we have to try to be more maybe with a new methods to use in order to teach these students. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hilali. A very interesting point on the learning by doing point and so on. And again, I think Dr. Let's pass again the floor to Dr. Zanzu Mohire. I think it's already in. Has some technical issues before this.
Well, yes, thank you, Dr. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, the chapters contain a lot of these examples of what you are talking about. So anyone who wants to ask a question, you can every author can provide perhaps an example of what is an exercise, an example. So it's fine. And it's important to note that these chapters, they are from many countries. So some of the terminology can change. I was going to say Department of Commerce perhaps is business school in other countries. If you like a lecturer, professor, teacher, it changes country by country. So it's good to keep that in mind when looking at any of these cases. Am I wrong, Majorine? Like Chamber, Department of Commerce, you mean business school?
It's correct.
Is the equivalent. Yeah. Contains finance, accounting, management, everything in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's the terminologies that sometimes we have to familiarize. And the teaching is in French, most of it. And Arabic. Yeah,
but we have Arabic and English. So no Arabic. We don't use Arabic in our universities, especially in mainly French and English.
And that's great. Is there same entrepreneurship courses, if you like, are delivered in French and English, or most of them in French?
We have like 50%, for example, one course for first year in French, but for the third year, for example, that we call licence here in Morocco, we have in English, entrepreneurship, like a course, main course in English. All the course is in English.
That's wonderful. That's good to know there's a popularity for that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. So we can take questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
Thank you.
Who is next, Dr. Mio?
Yes, I think Dr. Zanzu Muhire is already back in. Are you here, Dr. Zanzu Muhire?
Yes, I'm back, and I'm very, very sorry. I got cut. My internet was not good.
No worries, no worries.
But I'm back, and hopefully I'm going to be able to finish the presentation this time.
Yes,
if the previous presenter can stop sharing, then I can start sharing myself.
Hang on a second.
Can the previous presenter please stop sharing? Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. So before I got cut, I was starting to present some of the few support mechanisms that exist in Rwanda. From the government side, there is already an entrepreneurship development policy, which is focusing on building an effective entrepreneurship ecosystem in the whole country. And this is supported by different initiatives, like the ones which are developed by the Rwanda Development Board, which is an organization focusing on different initiatives of development of the country. And in this board, they have different programs that encourage young entrepreneurs, like supporting with seed capital if they need to. We have also the support from the Ministry of Youth and Arts, which is named in our local tongue Aguka program for young entrepreneurs, and also the National Industrial Research and Development Agency proposing especially programs of mentorship and incubation of new business ideas. On top of that, we have also different development partners, like the Business Professionals Network, MasterCard Foundation, Tony Elmuru Foundation, NorthSec Foundation, Youth Connect. These are different initiatives at country level, which are providing different support to young entrepreneurs, people with business ideas, whether they are at school or they are outside of the school. In education, entrepreneurship courses have been introduced since 2009 as a mandatory course to be given to all students in secondary schools. Although a recent evaluation done by the Ministry of Trade and Industry have shown that those courses have a content which is too basic and which focuses more on subsistence entrepreneurship rather than high value added entrepreneurship. And efforts are being proposed nowadays to see how this can change. Higher education institutions have not a formal request as it has been for secondary schools, but since they are just expected to contribute to the Vision 2050, as I have said previously, almost all higher learning institutions in Rwanda are currently providing a module of entrepreneurship, at least one module of entrepreneurship in their programs. And the characteristic of it is that it is just a module which is delivered either in 1 month one continuous month or in 3 months time. Most of them are focusing on theoretical knowledge of entrepreneurship and skills in business plan writing. And we believe that this has little impact on the entrepreneurial mindset of students. It's just informative. There are majority of higher learning institutions have business incubation centers, which receives students with a good business idea, and they help them to transform it into businesses. But again, because of this issue of mindset, sometimes the success rate of these business incubation centers are still not satisfactory. There is a high challenge also in terms of resources and a weak university-industry linkage, which are contributing to limiting the success of these modules that are delivered in these different universities. So at Ines Ruhengeri, as we are a University of Applied Sciences, we thought we have to propose something that can overcome these challenges. First, let me give you a brief overview of Ines Ruhengeri. As I have shown on the map, Ines Ruhengeri is a university which is located in the northern part of the country. It was founded in 2003 by the Ruhengeri Catholic Diocese, so it is a church-based university. It has programs in engineering, in science and information technology, in health sciences, in economics and social sciences, in education, and in law. The total number of students currently is about 5,900. We, as I said, we have chosen as an educational philosophy the concept of University of Applied Sciences. This concept aims to equip graduates with competencies for socioeconomic development of the country. The major characteristics of such a university are that they prepare students with a continuous focus on the labor market needs, the labor market dynamics, so that every time the graduates are delivered with a fit to what the labor market is expecting. They have to be built with the close ties with industry, in teaching, in learning, and in regional development. And the research in this type of universities is mainly applied research. Basic research can be done, but to the lesser extent. So that is the approach that Ines Ruhengeri has chosen, and we have not been there yet. We are still building to become this type of a university, which is, as you can see, is somehow to be differentiated from the traditional university. So entrepreneurship at Ines Ruhengeri then is done not only through a module, but through different initiatives, different approaches. We intend to build a complete ecosystem at university level, an ecosystem which will bring students to develop not only knowledge and skills, but to develop a full entrepreneurial mindset or a full entrepreneurial spirit that can lead them not only to creating businesses, but also it can lead them to approaching their professional life. So we through these different initiatives, we intend to change the narrative whereby entrepreneurship education focuses only on providing students with the capacity to create a new business, but instead providing students with the enterprising spirit, just as it was proposed by one of the the UK professors, Alan Gibb, who was just proposing to create enterprising spirit instead of entrepreneurship skills. So we propose a curriculum of entrepreneurship, a standalone curriculum of entrepreneurship, which provides a full course of 4 years. We propose a module of entrepreneurship to all the programs at level 4, that is the last year, the bachelor level, the last year of bachelor level. We have activities, trainings, and incubations and mentorship, which takes place through our Innovation and Business Incubation Center and through the Career Advisory and Professional Development Center that I head. We provide them with other additional employability skills, pitching skills. We link them with the external stakeholders who can help them with seed capital, with startup support, etc. And also we provide career advisory for those who would like to go through other sectors, not into creating their own businesses. But we know that the entrepreneurship skills that they get can also help them in their profession. So the entrepreneurial mindset that we focus on is defined as a set of skills that enable people to identify and make the most opportunities, overcome and learn from setbacks and succeed in a variety of settings. So as you can see, just the mindset we are talking about goes beyond the creation of a business, but instead prepares the students to face the current environment, outside environment in their profession, whether they become entrepreneurs or not. In this, again, by referring to the proposal of Alan Gibb, sorry for the misspelling of the name, we want to focus on instilling the adoption of entrepreneurial values, which are associated of the way of doing, the way of organizing, feeling, communicating, understanding, thinking, learning, etc. So we have looked for the different competencies that the module of entrepreneurship at INES should focus on, and TETL and TELSDIS have provided this kind of framework that I'm presenting, and this is what our module is focusing on in terms of competencies, which will build that entrepreneurial mindset. Personal competencies, domain competencies which are related to management of entrepreneurship, and the domain competencies are mostly what the current modules of entrepreneurship are focusing on. So our addition is to add the personal competencies and the relationship competencies, which will bring in a full package of entrepreneurial mindset. I'm not going to go through all of this, but if there's going to be any question about any part of it, we can come back to it. So to judge the effectiveness of this proposed approach, we have conducted a trial using a group of 187 participant students who are studying in applied economics department. We grouped them randomly into 3 groups, and the 3 groups were given the trainings using the traditional method, in which the students are given theoretical information about entrepreneurship. Then they are given skills in writing the business plan, and then After that, they are assessed by writing a final exam on entrepreneurship. Then another group was given training using the problem-based learning approach, and the third one was given the training using the design thinking approach. All the three groups, after the three groups, we collected information, but also at the beginning, we had also collected information about their entrepreneurship intention and the perception towards the entrepreneurship barriers. The results of this have indicated that there is much more positive influence coming from using design thinking and problem-based learning on entrepreneurship intent of students, as per the assessment that we have conducted. And in majority, the barriers were reduced. The perception of barriers was reduced for those people who undergone training using design thinking and problem-based learning, as compared to those who were trained using the traditional approach. However, some of the barriers, especially those which are related to the perception of the community and the ability of the student, the social ability of the student, were not really changed by any of these training approaches. But here we believe that it was related to the fact that social changes take time, and these modules were only delivered within a period of 2 months, I think. So, as I was saying, then the challenges was the time that was used, which was too short for us to develop, to put into full effect the experiential learning of problem-based learning and design thinking. Especially because we needed to teach all the three modules, all the three groups, we needed to deliver to them the module at the same time. So the participant selection also, we did not take into consideration the differentiation. There are nascent entrepreneurs, there are potential entrepreneurs, there are disinterested entrepreneurs among those students. So we took them, as I said, randomly, so we didn't select them, and we think maybe it can affect their learning approach, and it can affect the result that we have obtained. We had also, as you may imagine, some resources, limitations. When the students were given some assignments to go outside to do interviews, they could not go further because of resource issues. And also our lecturers, they were given some training at the beginning, but we believe some additional training could help in improving the way of delivering these courses. This is what I was saying, social institutional barriers can require much more input and time for them to change. So as a conclusion, we have seen that problem-based learning and design thinking are better approaches, and they reduce barriers to entrepreneurship, to the perceived barriers of students. And therefore, we would like to recommend, since the two have almost the same results, we have recommended to our teaching faculty that they can integrate the two in their module when they are delivering the module, because then they will harvest the complementarity between these two aspects in terms of creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, etc. And we recommend to continue the journey of building a full entrepreneurial ecosystem to optimize the innovative entrepreneurial values of students. And some of the actions to optimize this that we are proposing include, for instance, allowing mistakes to happen, because we have realized that whenever there are initiatives at the university or in the whole country, initiatives to improve entrepreneurship, people expect that those initiatives, when they are given, they give right away, they give results right away. For instance, if there is a financial support to training, the results that are expected to be given are in terms of how many students have created businesses or how many students have shown interest in creating businesses. And sometimes then they forget that in entrepreneurship, there is a trial error approach, and mistakes can also be a source of learning. We propose also supporting learning from stakeholder relationships, facilitating enterprising learning method in general for all the modules, etc., etc. Because of time, I think I will stop here, and if there are additional questions, I will receive them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zanzumuhire. Thank you. Maybe we have time for one question, maybe, Vasilis?
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. It's very interesting to see your chapter live again. And of course, I have a feeling we are mispronouncing your surname. If you could help us so that we don't keep doing it. How can you correct your surname?
No, I think Harris is pronouncing it correctly.
Oh, there you go. Good for him.
Zanzumuhire, that's
better than me. Yeah. Because I've been writing to you, Dr. Silas. Dr. Silas, I've been missing on the surname. Thank you very much. So it's very useful and conversation for something we can all discuss at the end of the session, especially what you talk about motivation against hands-on, because you want to be entrepreneurial, say, education, but what is it that going towards if in your own country the market cannot support that, for example? What is the point in many of these things? You know, just as I always say, you cannot study entrepreneurship or sole proprietor, as I used to call it before this term became bigger, single business, just because you don't want to work somewhere else. There must be a reason for that, you see. So that rightly so, the hands-on and market-oriented experience is very interesting that you are adding in your university. Thank you very much, Doctor. And we'll move to so we have we'll move to
Thank you, Dr. Vasilis. Yep. Next we have next we are good with time. Thank you very much for all presenters for keeping the 20 minutes time given to them. Next is Dr. Konstantinos Sanis.
I was going to say, Mio, I wrote to you. Can we swap?
Actually, I can do it. Actually, so.
Oh, great! Even better.
Yes. I'll be succinct and to the point. So, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and congratulations for all the presentations up to now. Allow me 1 second to change my room, because I was waiting all this time, for my time. Just give me 1 second, please.
It has been difficult to get all the authors, different times, different places, different workplaces. So it's been quite. Thank you everyone to taking that time. And Costas' chapter is on Saudi, so we are here.
Yes.
And Heather, you're also here for next the UAE.
Okay, so let's start, if it's okay. I will share my presentation. So, can you hear me well?
Perfectly.
Great, very good. So, my contribution was about entrepreneurship in Saudi, and I'm now opening the presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yes, clear.
Okay.
Proceed.
Great,
thank you. I saw some files I shouldn't have seen, but the rest is okay.
It happens.
Oh, thank you very much.
So entrepreneurship is, as we all know, Saudi
If
is
you can just make
transforming.
it bigger, Kostas, you want to keep like that? Can you?
Okay, let's make it bigger. So
Perfect, thanks.
you can see it now. So entrepreneurship is central to, the Saudi vision. The country is undergoing under very big transformation, and the country has invested a lot in a lot of training and educational programs, as well as other ecosystem activities such as funding startups, creating spin-offs, and running projects with large companies and small SMEs and startups. So entrepreneurship is a catalyst for innovation and job creation. There is strong alignment with the Saudi Vision 2030, and the role of higher education institutions is driving the change in Saudi. I myself, I have spent a lot of time in different institutions in Saudi, trying to develop entrepreneurship programs and so on. And it's a very interesting case study because we speak about a country that the majority used to be from state-owned companies, and now it has moved to actually, like a very dynamic startup scene and all of that. So the Vision 2030 is asking towards a knowledge-based economy, and entrepreneurship is positioned as a core development pillar. There is a lot of institutional funding and a lot of government initiatives from the MISC Foundation, which is the foundation of the Prince MBS, to academic programs, to programs from the SME Authority and the Ministry of Innovation. So a lot of different initiatives are pushing towards this direction. There have been a lot of different reforms. For example, they have included a lot of entrepreneurship courses in academic education, but also in high school education. They have increased specialized programs in thematic sectors such as tourism, defense industry, e-commerce, and a lot of other specific areas of focus. And they have initiated a lot of university incubators as well. There is a strong emphasis on private sector involvement in education through a lot of consortiums and joint projects. There are a lot of cultural influences as well. For example, there is the social norms and the role of the genders and the different genders in the country, the importance of family and the religion over the years influenced a bit the notion and the perception of entrepreneurship. So this is taken into consideration in order to develop the corresponding strategy, and there is need for empowerment strategies for both women and the youth, which are the least active parts of the society in the country. So in order to expand their pedagogical approach and be able to teach entrepreneurship, they moved from theory to experiential learning. This is done simulations, competitions, live cases, university partnerships, and actual company projects which are happening with the universities. All these are encouraging critical thinking and problem solving. In order to integrate with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, they are creating incubators with universities. They are giving internships from universities. They are doing partnerships with Monsaat, which is the SME Authority, and incubators and accelerators. Specifically, Monsaat is actually funding a lot of these programs and asking for inclusion to these programs. And also, there is the angel networks and the venture capital is particularly important. There is a lot of funding from investors from either side in order to promote entrepreneurship and education. In terms of skill development and training, there are a lot of they are pushing a lot for soft skills such as resilience, leadership, and communication, and of course the focus on hard skills, finance, digital tools, business modeling, and a lot of customized training for different educational levels. The private sector has been particularly important. There is co-creation of curricula with businesses. There is mentorship programs and internships, and there is job creation through entrepreneurial pathways. There are policy reforms. So the second area of focus is the female entrepreneurship, and there is a very strong push there are policy reforms for women to get specific education, to get STEM education, and to get also access to finance and to funding with specifically designed programs. There is very fast growth in female-led startups, entrepreneurship centers, and the socioeconomic impact of women in business and how this influence decision making is taken also into consideration. There is digital and green entrepreneurship, meaning that there is very strong focus on startups and focus on ESG, even though the ESG and the green entrepreneurship right now has been put on the side for a while. Emergence of digital startups and e-commerce platforms, there are very big ones which are growing very quickly in Saudi. There is increased focus on sustainability and green business models. There are government incentives for tech-driven ventures such as loans, VCs, grants, training programs, and access to different sectors for joint projects. However, there are specific challenges to implementation. There is very strong resistance to failure, and there is the lack of educators to teach entrepreneurship. So, that's a very interesting situation. There is very big gaps in funding access and entrepreneurial infrastructure, and also there are disparities between urban and rural regions, very big disparities. So all of this makes the challenges to implementation very big. To keep it simple, Riyadh and Jeddah, they have very big, all the universities are there, and other universities are regional and have less specialism. The recommendation is that there are needed more educator capacity building programs, meaning train the trainer. There is a need for further inter-university collaboration, and there is the need to strengthen university industry government linkages. However, in the future, Saudi Arabia is expected to lead in regional entrepreneurship education. Long-term success hinges on adaptive policy, meaning that there is need to adapt the policy and have more participation. And last but not least, also, there is need to create a stronger innovation culture. So the entrepreneurship is vital for Saudi. The integrations, stronger integrations, better planning, and more clear harmonization with all the different stakeholders is needed. The policy is there. However, what we see is that the actual implementation isn't optimal, so there are specific needs needing to create these synergies. And last but not least, also, there is need for continued adaptive reform, for continued investment in specific sectors, and the need for stronger cultural adaptation of the training programs is also a prerequisite. So I think that's all from my side. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Sanis. I think we have a bit of time. I have one question. In regards to the female participation in the Saudis, how's the implementation like? Are they far off compared to their male counterpart, or are there specific program for the female, or is it embedded together with their whole entrepreneurship program? Thank you.
Can you repeat? Is it together in the entrepreneurship program, or is it what?
No, is the program for the female entrepreneurship? Is it a specific program for just the female, or is it embedded into the overall program in Saudi? Thank you.
No, there are specific tailored to female trainings in all levels. There is government training. There is also in-work training for employees to get digital skills. There is a lot of. By the way, Mior, it's very important. Dr. Harris, it's very important to say that universities in Saudis are still separated in genders. Okay, so it's easier to implement gender-specific policy because they can simply increase the curriculum in the female universities. So the implementation of the policy involves training programs if females are working, or changing the curriculum in the female universities, or even creating specific focused incubators in the universities. So indeed, the changes are happening, focusing clearly to female gender. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Dr. Vasilios, any questions?
Yeah, very interesting Dr. Tsanis, we know each other, and you know each other, Mio, from previous works we've done. You just never met, I think. So,
Yeah.
so thank you very much. It was very interesting. Actually, Saudi is a special case, and in your chapter, it shows much more in depth with the detail and the examples you put in. Will you stay with us until the end for a general question session? Otherwise, anyone can maybe, or I can forward a question in the future for an email or anyone interested in Saudi.
Absolutely. I'll be here and I can accept questions now or later. Yes, thank you.
Dr. Mior, can I ask one thing?
Sure thing, yes. Dr. Gancha.
Okay. Based on the discussion that shared by Dr. Tsanis, that one of the important part is about the innovation culture that should be raised, should be built in the campus. So how you manage to build the innovation culture? Because culture is something that become not only giving some concept and theory to our student, right? So how to build the innovation culture to your campus, Dr. Tsanis?
How to build innovation culture. Look, there are a couple of different approaches. You can actually simply build. I think the most important, Dr. Premananto, is the actual practical exposure to skills. So what I have seen in some other markets is the joint university projects with the companies. What they can do is actually run actual projects with participation. This is the most important, I think, where they get hands-on experience for these skills. On top of that also is specific education initiatives which are focusing on these from a younger age. And last but not least also is specific funding programs. If you ask me, many countries, they run educational programs, but these aren't actually practiced. So a funding for female internships, for female programs, for female startups, all of this helps much better to improve the actual potential. So these are the three different main initiatives to do it, to focus on female entrepreneurship programs and innovation programs.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tsanis. Maybe I can add some suggestion also. Maybe we can discussing about how to set the criteria and evaluation, because one of the criteria and evaluation could be the innovative idea. So when the idea is innovative, so they can go on with their idea. But if the idea is not so not so good enough, a very old
you need to
idea,
sharing your screen. Maybe shut your sharing. Sorry, you're sharing your screen still.
Okay, I think I'm just adding one comment only. Thank you, Dr. Tsanis.
I want to add a final point. Thank you very much, Kostas. Very interesting. Is that you come to realize that the majority of hands-on experience courses is actually in Global South, because UK, I'm not sure about US. Many of the courses you don't really have a contact with a company of some kind of, and naturally so, because it's difficult for everyone to get. But you'd seem to do that much more in all the Global South, if you like, emerging market entrepreneurship courses. And so you get universities, all types of, even college. You don't really necessarily go through that part of working or practicing or engaging with a company. It seems to be, though, a very standard thing, and correct me, Mio, as well, in emerging market similar courses. To be part of a company, speaking to a company. Even the seminar I'm here in Indonesia Wednesday, we are talking to micro enterprises. I'm presenting to industry. You can go through a whole, probably because of popularity or difficulty, course in UK, US, without necessarily that element. Sometimes you can open your mini venture within the campus and things like that, but it's not exactly the same. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, if you agree or not. But I've noticed that it's much more prominent in emerging market courses to have this contact with industry in comparison.
I would step in here. So thank you, Dr.
Hi,
Vassilos.
Heather, how you
But
doing?
hi, and I would say that that is becoming kind of the norm, right? Having contact with industry. So at least in this area in the Middle East. So
If you can remind, please, everyone where you are or where you have chat. So Heather,
yes, I'm sorry. So I'm Dr. Heather, and I am currently in Dubai. I've been in Dubai now for over 10 years. And so I've seen kind of the development process between for startups, for entrepreneurs, for foreign entrepreneurs, for local entrepreneurs. And in terms of teaching it, that I think that now on campus that they're requiring more and more for teachers to bring in this contact with industry.
Yeah, yeah. But ironically, what's interesting is why is that more prominent? Because it is harder to get in the UK necessarily for every single student to have a contact. Well, remember, contact with industry does not mean, for example, a donor fund, because someone is going to get that. That is a donation.
Now, do you mean do you
I mean,
distinguish
doing
between no, but like between grad students and between undergrads?
Undergrads more so. Majority of undergrads, they tend to run a small venture in the campus and things like that. Postgrads, but I mean, be engaging in the company or with industry. What is happening a lot is that there are a lot of funds being given from either banks or governmental. We tend to forget that those are donations in essence. It's not contractual. You know, I don't give it out and why didn't you do this within 3 months? It's a donation. So there's a lot of that misrepresented as, oh, here I am, I'm now doing business. But in reality, what you did is you won a fund which was going to go to someone because that bank needs to tick the box that they are being active. So there's a plethora of social enterprises, NGOs in the UK that everyone is getting funds to create 3 months accelerators, 2 months, space shuttle incubators. But reality is that those are funds that when that tap closes and then they go to another direction, that ends. So I think the actual engagement with market is much bigger in the emerging market countries, perhaps because this is not that available.
I would agree with that.
You see, so you have to either do something with the market, or you cannot say that I am, a game-changing innovator saving the world with public money until that dries down, and then you have to get something else, which is the new wave of that banks would like to, or private entities would like to say, show that they are interested in. So I find that that element with market is much more prominent in emerging markets. And same way, like when I arrived here in Indonesia 2 days ago, Dr. Gansha was telling me loads of entrepreneurs everywhere, of all types, opening this, opening that. I believe firmly that is why this is happening, because the only option is either you engage with the market or you go and do something else.
Okay, but
enough of me anyway.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And then, but the question that I would ask is there industry? Is there innovation going on? Is there manufacturing?
What does that mean, innovation? It's become a word that's being abused. I mean, what does it mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tapping into a market that was hard to tap. Now I open a business legally, and there you go. I'm an innovator. Why? Because now I appear on company's house.
Right. That happens a lot
that
in
is actually
this
a
region.
change. Yeah. Not that much. And why should it? It's not natural. If every single business was innovative, why it wouldn't be normal? There is also growth. I open a business and I do it very well. That's it. So I mean, why does it have to be also have a fancy word around it? I mean, a lot of it is survival, growth, doing well. It doesn't have to be a new product every single time. We'll run out of products. I think that is misrepresented, the innovator and concept. That used to mean you can enter a market which previously all has been difficult, but not, when you're in a room and 40 people have all entered that market, it's a bit suspicious. It's not, how is it possible? So I think what I think is very important is when a single person can open a company and do very well when they couldn't get a job or do something different. That is an entrepreneurship, or if you like, is a very positive thing. It doesn't have to be innovative. So if I'm chronically unemployed but I still insist that I have to be innovative, there's something why can't you just open a business? it doesn't have to be necessarily new. It can be just very good.
Right.
Anyways, enough of me. So
yeah, great discussion, in fact. But I think we need to move on. I think we have Dr. Heather Webb with us. I think she gave an introduction already. But
Yes,
anyway,
I'm sorry.
she's an assistant professor from the Higher College of Technology in Dubai. And the floor is yours. Yes, Dr. Webb.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Let me just put it on this. Okay, so I kind of stepped in there without the introduction, so I apologize. My two colleagues here, Dr. Cedric, Dr. Sean, today's the first day of the summer semester. And so their class is at 1 o'clock. And so, which is 1 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock right now, 1:05. We're in Dubai, currently in Dubai. So I think they're going to try to come in with their class. My class was earlier this morning, so this is why I'm able to be here. So anyways, what we're looking at is we teach at a government higher education institution here. Our campus is in Dubai, but there are 16 campuses across the UAE, across the 7 Emirates. And this year, it used to be male students and female students. And so this year, they have now combined the students. And so business students are now in one campus, engineering students are in another campus, and it's mixed now, both male and female. So they're trying to culturally bring these students together and do it now in higher education, because at this point, they're high school, they're separated. So there's been a bit of kind of adaptability issues with doing this. And it's been interesting to see this in terms of entrepreneurship teaching. So looking at the UAE's efforts in fostering innovation, entrepreneurship, and there is a big drive the last decade, I would say, about increasing entrepreneurship, not necessarily from locals, because locals make up less than 10% of the population. So what they've done is the government has changed a lot of the visa regulations in order to allow people outside the UAE to come here and set up shop. It's not so easy, though, with the paperwork process. So there's a lot of process involved with doing that, but the government is making it a little bit easier in terms of the process of that. Now, in terms of teaching the innovation entrepreneurship, what they've done is basically Stanford University went around to the GCC region and they sold their concept of the course, right? Innovation course, design thinking, to a lot of these universities. So in the UAE, doesn't matter what higher education institution you're in, you will have this Stanford design thinking course. Now, in terms of our school at higher colleges, it's all the same throughout all the campuses in terms of the materials, but teachers are allowed to bring in other activities and other materials, right? And so this is all part of UAE's vision back in 2021. And this predates the COVID pandemic when they were focusing on this. And I know for Dubai specifically, 70% of their economy relies on tourism, right? And so they're trying to kind of step away from oil. They're trying to focus more on the knowledge economy, and especially fintech and any type of technology. Just recently, though, there's a lot of AI development that they want to have happen here in the UAE. Now, the demographic is a lot of younger people, a lot of younger generations. So there is a focus on youth entrepreneurship. Now, this is all part of their UAE long-term vision, right? And future-focused government, a lot more AI and how to be sustainable in their economy. And then also very strong focus on Emirati entrepreneurship. So again, everything's forward, right? Looking forward, advanced digital infrastructure, right? And they want to be a big player within, obviously, the world economy. And now they're part of the not Brexit, I'm sorry, but the emerging markets. Same with South Africa, same with China, same with India. They're part of that team of the emerging markets. So they're looking at sustainability. That is a big word. That's a big term being used across the UAE. Just recently, they hosted the COP28 initiative on climate change sustainability. And there's a big lead up into that, into the COP28. Unfortunately, it was during COVID, so they had their challenges from there. But they're still using that sustainability initiatives, and they're requiring a lot of industry to have sustainability within their KPIs, within their structure. For example, Dubai a year ago, they came up with or didn't come up with, but they finally put in place that no more plastic bags in the grocery stores. So they're starting to kind of make these sustainable changes. They encourage a lot of digital platforms, and so to be less reliant on paperwork. And I even see that in my own daughter's school, that the schools aren't allowed to print out worksheets, right? So they're trying to kind of focus on this digital platform, and then have youth entrepreneurship. And so I noticed even in the high schools that they're bringing in a lot more MOEs with industry to get this idea of not even Emiratis, but everyone to be focused on entrepreneurship and to create this mindset. Global mindset is there. It's slowly taking off. And then also, this is a Muslim country, so there's always going to be some sort of Islamic concept in relation to entrepreneurship, such as fintech. Okay, so for Emirati students that come here, it's required for all majors. It doesn't matter if you're business, if you're engineering, if you're media, if you're healthcare, you have to take this entrepreneurship course, right? And the Stanford Design Thinking Model follows that process of empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test. Right? And so we've taken the materials from the Stanford Design Thinking and we've had to adapt it to the local culture, because some of the materials from Stanford, we can't necessarily present that, or we can't focus on that. So Stanford Design Thinking Model emphasized. So the first 6 weeks, this is what we focused on, trying to get students to understand from a different perspective, right? Understand the real needs of users. And this is really where students do a lot of reflection. Now they're allowed to do their own groups from there. And when you have engineering students, when you have media students, when you have business students, the idea is that each one of them is supposed to be in a group, but it never happens, right? And so you always get like engineering students are always in one group, right? Business students always in one group, right? Media students in another group, right? And so they never kind of intermix. But now with male students and female students coming together, we can't force it. It has to be a natural thing, right? But this course overall is trying to get students to understand the needs of users. And so I related a lot to maybe their grandparents, right? Maybe people getting older, getting them to try to think about innovation. So they're supposed to go out, talk to people to get understanding, to observe, to kind of come up with this empathy. And, for us, we observe how students interact with maybe online platforms, online learning. That was very difficult during COVID times. And so I talk about that, about what would you change? Do you think this would work, right? Trying to get them to think more digitally. And then the define model, it's once they go out, talk to people, and then they figure out, what is a problem out there, right? And for the first assessment that they're supposed to do is not necessarily solve the problem, but trying to get them to understand that, they're going out talking to people. What are the needs of the users and what are the insights? And then it divides into the second project, where then they come up with solutions and they brainstorm. And then that leads into this idea of prototype. It's very difficult though, for them to kind of come up with a prototype, not unless you're an engineering student, then you have access to a lot of these products that you could come up with a prototype, but business students don't have that same access. So we do digital prototypes. And then again, we try to think about the testing for it. And then at this point, though, we talk about finance, right? Like, where would you get money from? And for Dubai, for the UAE, locals have a lot more chances to get funding, to get grants. And so there's so many different initiatives out there as part of the government. And even here on our campus, that we have student support for startups. And they have to go through a boot camp. Once they take this course and they go through that, then the university is trying to, support more student entrepreneurship. So why it works, the Stanford Design Thinking is putting the user at the center and is trying to foster creativity. That's a lot harder than what we think it is, right? This idea of creativity, because I think on a educational level, students are used to memorizing and then writing it down, right? And so this is the first time that they're actually like, what do you think? What do you think? How would you solve this, right? How would this work, right? And students are like, well, what's the answer? And what do you think the answer is? So on some levels, they get frustrated, but it's trying to kind of create that creativity there. So it's project-based, it's group projects. And then the last one, what they do, it's not part of Stanford, but it's part of your own personal future. What is your career focus for the next 5 years, right? And students will come in and they'll say, well, I want to go off and work at Emirates, right? I want to go off and become a manager, but then I want to start my own business. And then I'll ask, okay, what kind of business? And a lot of it is my own Kendora shop, my own coffee shop, my own cafe. That's a big thing right on there. And I'm like, okay, what's going to be different about your cafe? And they're like, well, I'm going to have fresh ingredients, right? And so now it's trying to kind of get them to think about then whether there's something different, whether there's something innovative. And this is across 16 weeks, right? So it's about 3 hours a week that they're having this course. And so it's a lot of reflection they have to do, which is kind of surprising for a lot of these different types of students because they're not used to that. So there's 6 learning outcomes. Again, design thinking, looking at economic systems, and then trying to kind of bring people together. A group project with poster presentation. They're not allowed to use PowerPoint slides, so they have to come in with their own posters, and it's from a empathy perspective. And also there's logbooks. So the logbooks are supposed to be that students reflect and think about it, but what happens is that it's a lot of copy and paste of the same thing, right? And then project 2 is looking at the ideas to see how to solve it. There's a presentation and then report, and there's financial aspects dealing with this. And then final individual project is a personal roadmap and trying to kind of connect it to their future career. So that is the breakdown of the course, really. And students are supposed to take this in their 2nd year or their 4th year, their 2nd to their 4th year. So we get a mix of different students that are finishing at different times within their university setting there. So I've kind of jumped through this, but yeah. I think that's about it from there. But now I have to admit that now there is a change happening in that there's a big focus now on skills, right? And so this course is actually going to go under a revamp for the summer, starting in the fall, and they're looking at more competency-based style of education, so bringing in more activities. And so we're kind of evolving away from the Stanford idea of design thinking, although the base aspect is still there. So that's what is going to be happening at least this summer. So I don't know how this course is going to look in the fall, but there's going to be some slight changes to that. So in terms of, again, educational aspect, it's trying to get students to get away from this idea of memorizing and actually think about, stuff, right? Think about innovations, think about critical thinking. So there's a big support with government. There are starting to be incubators out there, government incubators, and funding and legal support. Now, if you wanted to start your own business at home business for Emiratis, it's only 1,000 dirhams. It's only like $300, right, to get your license for that, your business license. But if you're a non-local, you can't do that. So that's why there's a bigger support for Emiratis to come in and do that. Now, if you're a non-local, there's free zones. And I come from the US. So when I came here 10 years ago, I didn't quite understand this idea of free zones and what that was. And then I realized that it's, they wanted a zone that you didn't need to have a local owner or local 50% partnership on these businesses. So these free zones are everywhere in the GCC region. Yeah, and then the challenge is cultural. There's a lot of cultural challenges here in teaching and for students to understand, but it's changing. It's changing. So trying to build these soft skills, these leadership skills, negotiation. Now we do have a major of entrepreneurship here, and a lot of these soft skills are kind of developed within those courses there. So, yep, engagement. Again, is trying to align with industry trends as well as what the Western processes, what these universities do from there. So, any comments?
Thank you, Dr. Watt. Very interesting. I like it that you mentioned or you relate a lot with cultural aspects. I'm just wondering, during those classes or during those sessions, were they all Emiratis or were there international students also in the class?
Nope, they're all Emiratis. It's all Emiratis. So
they're all local students.
They're all local students, yeah.
Yeah, all the cases are where we asked that. We try to avoid the scenario, if you remember also, Heather, of the expat learning in the country and courses. We try to have local cohort, so.
But wouldn't you think that if I know what you're trying to say, Dr. Vasilis, but don't you think if when we talk about experiential learning, if we were to involve international students also in that kind of group, won't you think the exposure would be better?
Absolutely. Sorry.
It would be, but this is not what the book is examining. And if they were the vast majority, it wouldn't really necessarily be local education. So if me and 20 friends go to Bali and take a course, I don't think it really reflects local education. So that needs to be also arranged, especially when we are talking some mini trainings and things like that, because there is this element of, I don't want to call it minority, but the smaller percentage of population, which could be expat, could be anything, and reflecting on that in courses, but it doesn't reflect local education, in my opinion, even if it of all sorts, especially in very large populations. And local language and so on. So rightly so, in UAE, probably you have a lot of expats speaking English, working there, but I don't think this is what we are talking in those slides. But it's very interesting though, Heather. Thank you very much. So just one question from me, the program, you had an opportunity to change it quite a bit later, right? Is that something that was developed later in the, I wouldn't want to call it T&E, transnational, say, partnership, or right from the start, you could do these things, or to the changes to the...
Well, we can only use the slides, right, from the staff part, but we can bring in our own, obviously, activities and our own...
Right from the start, okay.
Yeah, materials there, but we have to be careful, right, because we're restricted in that... we can't say anything negative about the economy.
About the economy?
Yes, about the economy. Everything's got to be
positive.
Well,
for entrepreneur, then it looks great. Then everyone
Yeah. Everything's positive.
All right, then.
Everything's positive. So, and then we have to stay away from any sort of obviously political discussion just because of where we're located.
But there is none of that in the original syllabus.
No, not at all. But we have to be careful about products that we talk about, right? The history of certain products. And I know that the Stanford slides, they do talk about a very specific product that has to quickly be deleted out. And so we can't talk about, for instance, another product like Budweiser, right? Budweiser, what they do, right? So we can't talk about any alcoholic type of products from there, which is okay. I mean, it's fine, right? So there's other products that we talk about, right? Like Coca-Cola, right? In terms of marketing, when I talk about marketing, right? And when I talk about just kind of, you know, coming from the US, there's always like this history of entrepreneurship about family businesses, and family business is huge over here. Right. So that's a lot of times that these students, they already have, they've seen it with their parents, with their fathers about businesses. But now I'm starting to hear, oh, my mom started a business, or my mom's working in this and that. So I'm starting to hear a lot more female entrepreneurs out there within the families. And I think that's inspiring more females to actually get out and start their own business. So it's been an interesting dynamic the last 10 years. I've purely only taught male students. And this is the first time this year that I've had both female and male students. So I'm starting to hear that dialogue. Now that dialogue probably was there, but I didn't hear it. So now I'm hearing it.
That's very interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Great, great. So I think thank you very much, Dr. Webb, for the very insightful information. I think moving on, we have Dr. Joy Akahome. Is he here?
Hello, good morning.
Are you here? Yes.
Yes,
Hello,
I'm
Joy.
here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, so she's an academic in the Entrepreneurship and Marketing Department at the Federal University of Otuoke, Nigeria. Yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and I'm very grateful for you having me here. I'm going to share my, see if I can share my screen. Excuse me.
Take your time. I think Heather is still sharing, or am I wrong? No. Sorry, ma'am. No, not at all. We still have a few minutes. And thank you to your colleagues.
Can I send it to someone to help me share? Oh my God. I have
It should be top right, I think.
Actually, I'm using my phone because the electricity just went off for some days now, and
take a moment if you need this. Okay,
yeah,
top right,
okay.
It should be the sharing. Is that correct, Mio? Top right? No.
Can I send it to you? Then maybe help me share just the front, the front page.
Right. Would you like to take a pause and maybe come back in?
Okay. Hold on.
Or maybe you can send it to Dr. Gancha or the Secretariat.
To share the slides?
Okay.
Well, send them to me, or if you want to. Or if you want, just email to me. I can share them for you.
Okay.
Or WhatsApp them to me, as you say. Yeah.
Yes. Let me do that now.
You may try to share it to the chat box.
To the chat box. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I will try to open it.
And try that way. I like in the chat we are getting a bit of collaboration of common practice, which is interesting practices in different countries.
Sir, I sent it to your email. Is it okay for you to send it to? Because I'm trying to see if I can send it to the chat. Yes, to your email, because I can't send it through this platform like this.
It's okay if you give me half a second.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't see something, Joy. You sure you sent it to me?
Have you received it?
I think your connection is cutting. No, I didn't
Yes,
get
yes, I
anything.
sent it to you now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Have you seen it?
No, nothing here.
Okay. Has been sent.
No, nothing to me.
That's strange.
Why don't we, do you want to pause and we move to the next
Well,
presentation,
it's
Joy?
been sent
Meanwhile, I'll
from
get
my-
it privately. Is that okay?
Or alternatively, she can still present without the
I can
slide.
just yeah, I can. Of course I can. Okay, let me present because
In the meantime,
I have
maybe
other
Vasilis,
classes
can you
to
check your
do.
email? Maybe the spam.
No, I'm checking. You don't see, I didn't get anything. No, Joy doesn't go to spam usually. No spam, nothing. Maybe it's your signal,
Can you
Joy. Maybe it
refresh
doesn't.
it? Refresh your email. Refresh your email, you see it.
Let me go back in.
Or maybe you can send me through my WhatsApp, to my email also. I already writing my email on the chat box. Dr. Joy, Ganjar -c-p@fap.uner.icit.
Yeah, I got it.
Uh-huh.
I forward to you now. Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Okay,
Dr. Ganjar, to you.
Okay. So while you're sharing it, just let me just start. I want to thank everyone for today's discussion, bringing everybody together and discussing things on innovation and sustainability. Thank you for having me on this webinar. My name is Joy Akahome, and today I'll be talking about sharing some of my knowledge on frugal innovation in soap making. Of course, frugal innovation in soap making, which is a very sustainable approach that is designed to promote sustainability and community empowerment and entrepreneurship within the context of Nigerian university. And so the purpose of this topic is on how to focus on simple, affordable, innovative method that is specifically on producing soap, which can create meaningful economic opportunities for, yeah, thank you very much. So can we get on the first slide? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the purpose of this topic is on frugal innovation, and frugal innovation focuses more on simple, affordable innovation in producing something. Okay, but in specificity to soap making for this my topic, which can create meaningful job opportunities for students, staff, and community within the university environment. And now you will ask, why frugal innovation? So frugal innovation has a lot to do with performing a lot of activities using simple resources, less resources that can creatively or innovatively or even sustainably solve local problems, especially in an environment like Nigeria, where there is no funding and where there's also high unemployment rates among Nigerian university graduates. So this approach is very important and necessary for students to learn creative skills in applying that in their studies during entrepreneurship. So why is this relevant to Nigeria? It's relevant because there's a lot of increasing cost of imported goods now, and a lot of people find it hard to survive. And so it's very important for them to look within their environment, their local environment, and see how they can create the resources, bring out resources or simple, affordable, cheap resources to produce something that can benefit society. And again, currently in Nigeria, there's this economic inflation and hygiene products in rural areas. And you find out that in the rural areas, a lot of people here in the rural areas within the university community don't have access to hygiene, hygiene products. So it's very important for them to be encouraged, be sensitized on how they can create or how they can produce soap for them to keep good hygiene and for the development and health, safety of the well-being of people in this society. Okay, and while doing that, it can also help some of the people in the community to build employment for themselves. So they can be self-employed, self-sustainable. Okay, so it's important to essentials like soap can actually provide a practical path in addressing these interconnected challenges of lack of hygiene products, rising cost of imported goods, and economic inflation that are now existing in Nigeria. Now, we'll talk about soap making projects.
Do we need to change slide, perhaps?
Okay.
Can you guide Dr. Ganj?
Okay. Go to the next slide.
Please give me a clue when I have to change the slide.
Okay. Go to the next slide.
This one?
No, next.
Next. This one?
Next. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm on the soap making project. So what does this project actually involve? So this project has to do with helping to train students and community members in making soap. So where they use locally available materials like palm oil. We have palm oil here. We make a lot of from palm kernel, and we have coconut oil. We have a lot of palm trees that are available in the university environment. So we can use these as some of the ingredients in making soap. Then we can also use some natural additives. We add this to it to make soap. And the process is designed to be very cheap and environmentally friendly and also very profitable for everybody, especially the students who have the initiative to want to do something like that. Now, the sustainable elements that are being used are many of the discarded bottles in the environment. Like, for example, when you look around the environment where I come from, you find out there are a lot of garbages of empty bottles, empty Coca-Cola bottles, empty bottles that are no longer useful. You can reuse this type of materials to put this liquid soap so that people can have access to reusing them and seeing them as very essential for the environment, okay? Because it's just not good for you to just discard them into the environment, which will make which would pollute the environment. So this is something that can be reused. And also we have something like there's another thing that we use. I don't. Please go to the next slide. So there's another thing that we use is our local kind of. I don't know how to say it in English, so somehow it's local that we use to also add in creating this soap, which most people don't know that it is also very essential for making soap as well. So what are the entrepreneurial opportunities for soap making? A lot of us would actually learn from the skill of making soap because you can also learn how to brand the soap. You can also learn how to promote it, how to sell it, and you can also decide on integrating basic entrepreneurial training with practical soap making, so that you can help students who want to establish small businesses from the start. Okay, that will also help them. Then what are the impacts of this soap making to community? How does it empower them? How has this soap making, how has it benefited the community? So for the community, it has helped to generate income for them. Local women within this community, you see them making soap, they make money from it, you know. They also help to improve their hygiene. They also help to communicate this benefits to other people in other communities, which can help to maintain a safe and a safe community where people are safe from diseases and all sorts of illnesses. Okay, so like I remember, can we go to the next slide? I remember a situation of a female student within the campus where she mentioned how the soap business that she has used,
I think we lost audio for a moment, as with multiple sites and multiple times. Let's wait a moment to Dr. Mio.
I think so.
I think with Joyce coming back. The internet has been a bit tricky for some.
I think because she's using the phone. She's using a phone, so that might be the trouble.
All right. Okay. So let's wait a few seconds. I think she's just going to reconnect now. I think. Okay, just a second. Oh, interesting topic, this one too, in terms of quite specific. I mean, the entrepreneurship program, education, and the actual task is around soap making. It's quite specific based on the market. Oh, you are back with us, Joy. Very good. You got disconnected for a moment. Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Joy.
No, I think she's coming back. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
You have to unmute yourself, Dr. Joy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please continue.
Okay, so we have the impact of community empowerment, how community have been impacted, how they've been, you can empower the community with this soap making opportunity. So the soap making has benefited the community in generating income for the students and also for the local people, residents in the community. And also it has also helped in improving their hygiene access around the community as well. So I was going to talk about a testimony of a student, a female student who actually started the soap making business. And she used it in generating income for herself without even looking for capital to start, which was really helpful for her. And of course, she was using it to solve some of her little problems that she had within the university. And a lot of people who were around her were discouraging her, which created some challenges that she faced while doing this type of business, where she did not have enough mentors to advise her on how to go bigger in the business, on how to establish a bigger, increase the business idea. So another challenges she faced was the institution were not also supportive of her initiative. And a lot of her friends and families were discouraging her because they felt like it was a business that was not going to make billions of naira in the space of 1 year, where she can acquire, huge cars or houses or something like that. So a lesson here on this frugal innovation in soap making is to actually start small and to focus more on solutions for community, not just only for students and staff, because frugal innovation is successful when it is combined with basic business education. So with that being said, I would like to conclude that frugal innovation in soap making is not just about building technical skills. It's also a sustainable model for inclusive entrepreneurship and community development. And a lot of Nigerian universities must combine this model into their curricula, where they turn universities into an area of affordable, high impact innovation. So here I would say that a lot of university administrators or NGOs or private sectors can also learn to collaborate in increasing such kind of initiatives, not for profit making, but for the progress of the society at large. So thank you. And I would love to know your comments and questions on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Akome. Thank you. Maybe any question from Vasilius or Dr. Gancha?
Very interesting, and I think I like the idea that the task is product-based. So that has been, let's say, as I said, a link to the local market. You found that this is something that can be useful, and it's something that has become also a task in the education. So I think it's a good thing in terms of that link, which I will support until the end of the session, that there is a bigger link to marketing Global South education than many times you can find in other places. So that's sometimes even without knowing why or involuntarily, it comes out. Thank you very much. It's very interesting, Dr. Joy. Is anyone else has any question?
Yes. I wonder about why you choose to create a soap. Why it's not about food and beverage? Why soap producing?
Because soap making is something that is very essential, very necessary in this rural environment, especially in this area where we have a lot of diseases. People really don't care about their well-being in terms of cleanliness. People don't care. Because we are being told in our local culture, African culture, that being dirty does not kill a black man. So we have to reconstruct that idea that you need to be clean, you need to have hygiene for you to survive and live longer. So soap making is easy. Soap making is easy. You don't need electricity or a lot of big things to create it. You can usually use something easy in your environment. Simple, low cost, affordable ingredients to make soap. So,
I see.
Yeah.
But based on the experience that we have for COVID-19, why don't you choose to producing hand sanitizer or something like that?
A lot of us are not like
I think it's not clear.
People in the rural community well exposed in learning how to use sanitizer. But back then, when we had this COVID and I was here, a lot of people in the rural community did not believe that it ever exists. There's nothing like COVID-19. We have malaria, something like that. And so maybe using soap is a better way to encourage them to wash their hands. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Choi.
Thank you, Dr. Akome. Thank you. So we have
just a reminder that all the chapters have got more in detail examples of the teaching of the methods of the samples. Of course, the presentations, if someone is more interested, they extend much more in chapter version later. Thank you very much.
Great. So moving on, I think we have 3 speakers left. So great. So the next speaker is Dr. Isabelle Ramdiale. She is an assistant professor in the School of Economics at the University of Réunion Island, France. So the floor is yours.
Welcome,
Thank
Isabelle.
you.
Lovely to see
Thank
you.
So I will share my presentation right now.
Some of these chapters become an exercise in geography, you know, especially with Reunion Island. I would really challenge how many people, I'm sure the Africans are aware of where it is, and it's a lovely place. I've been to Mauritius close by, so I know that's cheating. So it's also a geographical journey.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So thanks, everyone. Mauritius is not far from, I'm used to say that Mauritius is not far from Reunion Island, but it's the most expensive trip of the world. You know, it's only, 200 kilometers for 400 euros. So, I mean, half an hour for 400 euros. I mean, it's incredible. So please, thank you everyone to be there. Hello, my name is Isabelle Ramdiale, and I'm from University of Réunion, and I'm honored to present my contribution to the book Cases on Entrepreneurship, Education and Training in Emerging Market. So thank you, Dr. Vassilios Touretis, to give me the opportunity to present my contribution this afternoon.
Thank you. It's a wonderful piece of work. Would you like to extend your...
I didn't?
You're sharing, but to extend the presentation image, if you would like full screen.
So I will stop the share because...
If you like, you don't have to, but it's better for some of us that can't see very well.
Strange, because for me it's extended, you know, like this. It's okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. For me, it's not working. Is it extended? Oh, it's surprising. I don't understand why, but well, okay. What do you see right now? You see my only the first page?
Yes, the first slide.
Okay. So there I will share with you the story of a powerful educational experiment, and we'll try to answer to the following question. Our small university on a outermost French island, used entrepreneurship as a lever to fight student dropouts and build up through innovation. This is a case study, but also an awesome entrepreneurial odyssey. So let's move on. Oh, I don't understand why. Okay, maybe like this. Okay. To understand our initiative, we must first understand the context. Reunion Island, although a French overseas territory, faces challenges that are quite specific. Youth and unemployment is a deep and structural issue here. Nearly half of people under 30 are unemployed. We also face a large population of young people not in employment, education, or training, which is far most of the French rate. At the same time, the youth labor force continues to grow. These figures show a sad reality, as it could mean a young student lost in the system, often unsure why he is even there. In the face of this educational breakdown, we had a question: what if we turn things upside down? What if we question traditional models, tried out unconventional methods, without the role of the student, the diploma and skills? The revival of the student entrepreneurship pole of Reunion, the P2ER, marks the transition from observation to action. We didn't follow a national roadmap. We didn't even know what would work. What we did know was that students needed meaning, a reason to show up. So we rebuilt P2ER on a human-centered, bottom-up approach, grounded in local realities and committed to effectuation, not prediction. Okay. The training programs were designed using an effectual approach following Sarasvati 2001. Instead of following a fixed plan, they evolved, the programs evolved step by step, shaped by feedback, available resources, and real-world constraints. The P2ER team acted like entrepreneurs, like innovators working within the institution to create value. Their initiative was guided by the 5 core principles of effectuation. First one is the bird in hand principle. The team started with what they had, existing expertise in entrepreneurship, a strong commitment to student success, and early collaboration with local entrepreneurs. The second principle, the affordable loss, is that the team accepted the risks, often working extra hours and managing limited resources while pursuing ambitious goals. The quasi-quilt principles means that partnership were key. Training courses were co-designed with external actors, and a steering committee ensure the project stay connected to the local economy. The limonade principle, when challenge came, like delayed funding or unpaid work, the team found creative ways to turn them into opportunities. A surprise visit from a former French president even gave the initiative national visibility. And finally, pilot in the plane principle. The team embraced uncertainty, adjusting as they went. They believe that by taking action, they could help shape the future, even without knowing exactly where it would lead. Sorry. Between 2015 and 2018, all training programs were developed using these 5 principles. This adaptive mindset helped the team stay resilient, especially when facing uncertainty around student participation or an institutional report. Let's take a moment to understand the scale of the challenge in Reunion Island. Many students, especially in vocational tracks, don't really choose their path. Often they end up there by default due to school trekking, lack of options, or mobility issues. I remind you, we are 11,000 kilometers from France. The results are troubling. Only 2% of vocational and 7% of technological students complete their degrees. Even in general bachelor programs, success rates are low. 33% in 2012, rising slightly to 39% in 2015. By comparison, the national average is 46% in 2015. Moreover, every year in Reunion, about 4,000 students drop out, which is 6 points above the national average. These numbers reflect deeper realities. Students facing economic difficulties is isolation and few real opportunities. A typical story. A student arrives without clear direction, struggles to find meaning, fail exams and eventually drops out. Not due to lack of ability, but due to lack of purpose and support. What could be defined as a personal problem on the scale of one university becomes a systemic crisis as it affects thousands of students. And it demands a systemic and human-centered solution. The P2TR, the program, the Student Entrepreneurship Pole program, were innovative in content and form. Thus, it showed that when you combine adapted teaching, local relevance, and inclusive values, entrepreneurship education can become a powerful tool for empowerment, re-engagement, and social mobility. The entrepreneurship diploma, which was put into place, offered two learning paths. Path one, what we called Créacteur in French, for those who want to explore their potential. For students at risk of dropping out, especially in vocational tracks. The goal was to re-engage them through career discovery and personal initiative, not with pressure to launch a business, but with space to find direction and confidence. Path two, what we call Innovactor in French, for those who want to build their project, for students who wanted to go further and develop a real entrepreneurial project, for those from the first path, from the first path could move into this phase if they feel ready to commit more deeply. We didn't teach entrepreneurship at the theory. Instead, we created an environment where students could experiment, make mistakes, and grow. In fact, we wanted to build confidence, not just building a business plan. We wanted to create a community, not just competition, even though challenges and contests were used to motivate and structure learning. Theory is important, but transformation happens in practice. That's why we've designed a series of immersive, high-energy events. From happy hour hackathon to a startup weekend, students solve real problems in real time. They experiment with design thinking, they pitch in front of mentors, and most importantly, they fail, reflect, and try again. The goal wasn't to have entrepreneurs overnight. The goal was to bring them to learn by doing, to build confidence and teamwork in a safe, motivating environment. So, did it work? The answer is yes. Over 1,100 students were trained, more than 30 events in 3 years to bring the academic and business worlds together, dozens of short courses and a diploma. We wanted to go further and conducted a study to find out what former students think about their experience at P2TR. At the Student Entrepreneurship Pole. The survey of almost 40 alumni and 10 in-depth interviews reported that after completing the program, students felt more self-confident, more legitimate, and more capable of contributing to society. They no longer felt like passive students. They began to see themselves as actors, creators, change makers. And that's the essence of the pole. Not just launching businesses, but helping young people launch themselves. And finally, what did we learn and what can others take from this experience? First, context is everything. What worked in Réunion was deeply rooted in our local culture and constraint. One size does not fit all. Second, autonomy was key. We didn't copy national programs. We built our own model with local actors based on what was needed. Finally, it was all about collaboration with school, with businesses, with NGOs, with artists, with firms, with students. What made the student entrepreneurship pole of Réunion Island distinctive from his mainland counterparts was its adaptation of a diploma to the specific socio-economic and geographical context of the island, ensuring that students' professional projects were rooted in local realities. In summary, the initiative demonstrated that entrepreneurship integration can be a powerful tool for tackling dropout and youth unemployment, especially when developed with flexibility, collaboration, and responsiveness. Over his 3-year journey, the student entrepreneurship pole, built a strong community, initiated a culture of innovation within the university, and introduced new practices and partnerships, making student entrepreneurship a real driver of local development. So thanks a lot for your attention. Thank you, Dr. Vassilios-Touretsis, to give me the opportunity to tell us about this wonderful experience at the student entrepreneurship pole in Réunion Island. You will see my contact detail on the screen. Do not hesitate to add me on LinkedIn and to contact me if my skills can help you to develop your own projects in entrepreneurship education.
Thank you, Isabel. It was really, really interesting, and that was very good. And you are one of the pronounced my name correctly on the first try, so that's very, very, very good. Thank you. No, it was really interesting, and I like the idea, like with similar chapters, that a lot of your type of education comes from the fact that certain students, there's a big dropout number. So it is a solution to poverty alleviation rather than a fashion entrepreneurship. So you, like we said, coming to Indonesia, I was asking the same. So many people have single business. Why? Why don't you work for a medium company? Why don't you work for multinational? Because there is not sometimes. So that, in my opinion, is a good way to look at it. If you have some type of education, like with the soap making, because that is what in the local market is needed. And I think, and I'll say it till the end, in the emerging market education courses, the market approach is closer. Then I want to become entrepreneur, like we can have many times in the UK, because I can give it a try. There are certain funds. If it doesn't work, I'll find something else anyway. I'll go back to a company. It is different from, I need to do it because this is how I'm covering a gap in employment. So that is interesting. It'd be interesting to see in Reunion Island how much of that gap is covered by these students then in the future. How much of the employment gap is really covered by the entrepreneur. We'll see. So that's quite interesting. Thank you very much. Does anyone have another question, or we'll move on, or we can hold them at the end? After the next presentation, there will be the end where we can all speak. Anyone wants to ask each other or the authors anything they like, if you wish, if that's okay. Is that okay, Dr. Ganchar?
Yes, that must be very, very okay for us, Dr. Vassilios, because right now our webinar will become just like focus group discussion. There's only 13 person in the Zoom, right? So it will be our very limited discussion that we have to continuing this activity, that we can go for regularly having meeting to discussing the next project. So thank you for being the leader for the book chapter, Dr. Vasilis. It's very great idea to having case from many case of around the world. Hopefully that it's not ended for this seminar, but we can continuing for another activity.
And to be fair, there are also, remember, 15 chapters. So anyone that couldn't present is of course involved and is very valuable and will be there for the actual launch later and of course. So yes, the idea before we move on is also to create this situation of a forum where anybody could be a guest, for example, in another country's course, guest speaker and so on. But I will let you proceed, Dr. Gancha, for your presentation now.
Okay. So I may present my PowerPoint right now, Doctor?
Yeah, off you go. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is my presentation with my team. So my name is Ganjar Chandra Premananto, and I am with Associate Professor Dr. Masmira Kurniawati and Associate Professor Dr. Trisiwi Agustina and Nurlaili Vidyarini MBA. So we want to share our experience how to conduct how to managing our entrepreneurship concentration in our campus. It's still young. It began on 2015. So more of you having more experience than us. And so it's very interesting for us to become sharing in this activity because I knew something new from the experience from the others. So thank you for being part of these activities. So we all know that the phenomena that already happen, especially in Indonesia, based on the Central Bureau of Statistics, we have limitation for the entrepreneurship in Indonesia. That our presentation for entrepreneurship is only 2%. This is still below the percentage in Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. We are the lower one. So it's important for us, especially from the academician, to helping the government to boost the spirit of entrepreneurship, especially the entrepreneurship that having well education, not just to build their business. And before I discussing about our activity, maybe I will try to describe our campus first. So our campus is in East Java, Indonesia, nearby Bali. So if you want to go to Bali, maybe you can transit to Surabaya and you can visit our campus in Surabaya, East Java. That Airlangga University is the second oldest university in Indonesia and also a research public university located in Surabaya, East Java, Indonesia. That we have under management department, we have 4 study program, which is undergraduate programs, Master of Management program, Master of Science in Management, and Doctoral of Science in Management program. That all of the programs already having accreditation nationally and internationally. Internationally, we have accredited by ABES 21 Japan since 2020, and by FIBA Germany, we accredited since 2023. Based on QS World University Ranking by Subject Business and Management in 2025, we are still in a global position for 251 until 300. This ranking having stagnant, having standstill in these 3 years, but it having significantly growth because on 2020 we are still on 500 ranking, and for the national position we are number 3 in Indonesia. So this is our short description about our campus. And what things that we discuss is about that we know when we trying to giving the material about entrepreneurship, it's not solely to giving theory and concept to our students. It's not sufficient for them to give only theory and concept. So we have to give them experience to doing the business. So this is something that we believe about. So based on that, we have made several efforts to create skill entrepreneurship with positive attitude, of course, with are currently packaging in the concept that we call holistic entrepreneur ecosystem. So we've trying to build the ecosystem to help our student not only to set the curriculum, but we have to set our lecturer also that we set the association that giving the environment that supporting the entrepreneurship activity. So things that we done is about preparing curriculum and teaching learning method with project learning process and experience-based learning. And even sometimes we giving them the case also, of course. And even for the thesis, it will discussing about their business activity. So the thesis should be discussing about the problem in their business, in their entrepreneurship area. So how to influencing their customer, how to make their business growth, and so on and so on. So the thesis should be from their own business. And beside that, we have to preparing the lecturers also that we ask to the lecturer to following some competencies, some certificate for competencies, especially for the entrepreneurship area, that the competency will give the lecturers not only the theory and concept, but also giving them the confidence to share the idea about doing entrepreneurship. So they will know the practice. Besides of the lecturers, we also inviting guest lecturer from entrepreneur, from the practitioners. That beside of that, we also creating association. We invite the association, especially from the student and alumni association, that they have experience for doing business. So by inviting them, they can sharing their experience how to build business in food and beverage, in the producing things, and so on and so on. So the association will support the student to giving them the mentorship and the learning process for the experience base. So we creating forum for student and alumni. For that, we have Airlangga Business Community that usually they come from the practitioners. And for student, they creating webs. Webs is the forum that setting by the student that usually they invite many practitioners to sharing many things about the entrepreneurship. The other thing is about creating book, especially for entrepreneurial education. So the book is not only from the outside, but the lecturer have to try to share their knowledge, their theory and concept into the books. That the books not only giving theory and concept, it could be discussing about the real practice. So we have the book that it is the compilation for our consultation. So most of us are consultant for the entrepreneurship, for small medium enterprise. So usually we answering their question. So the small medium enterprise giving us the question, and we make the consultation become the books. So we already have that book. The other thing is about giving the example for student about the importance of digitalization. So it's not only supporting the student to understand about the digitalization, but we also creating the platform to help them to understand that digitalization is important. So for supporting their activity to collecting the report for the entrepreneurship. So we set ruangpamer.id. This is the platform that we built by our own self to collecting the result. So there will be no report by papers. They just reporting their activity for entrepreneurship into ruangpamer.id. And we also having platform of entrepreneurmeter.com that this platform is for measuring the level of entrepreneurship of the students. So if the student want to know how high is their entrepreneurship matter, so they can go into this entrepreneur matter and trying to answer the question. So this is just like quiz. So they know the point about their self. And thank you for Dr. Vasilias that based on this activity, so we already have book chapter. Besides that, we already have a research and joint publication also about entrepreneurship also. So it will be expand the knowledge of the lecturer. So it's important for us to giving example to the student also that the entrepreneurship can make something just not only for the profit, but they can have their the application the academician base, that they can have a book, they can have journal article for journal and so on. So this is something that we built. So it's not only about setting the curriculum, we set the association, we increasing the mindset and the knowledge of the lecturers, and we trying to give them the example by the books, by the digitalization and platform that we have, and the article that writing by our lecturers. So the summary is, from the various discussion, it can be concluded that the Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Airlangga has prepared many things to our students, including the curriculum, the association, the competency certification, and even created several digital applications as well as social media and online media. All of these things are directed to providing complete and holistic knowledge, experience, and skill for our academic community on campus. And it needs a long process from 2015 until now to build various things to support entrepreneurship. So based on this, we discussing about the need for doing total quality management or Kaizen in higher education. And while we discussing about how to increasing the quality of education, especially for entrepreneurship. So this is about my presentation, Dr. Vasilias.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doctor. Very interesting. Aside from, teaching practices, you tend to see in some universities staff teaching practices, like in this case, how to prepare staff to teach, how to initially interact with other programs that are teaching maybe general business, and then take some staff to teach entrepreneurship from there and create a training. In some countries, and you might, anyone can stop me if I am wrong or if they recognize it, there is a government program for staff training, quality of staff, quality being and that is a regular update that certain staff do in certain countries. So I like this idea with Airlangga of having in the ecosystem element, so including the staff in it.
Yes.
Does anybody have any question for this, for the Indonesian case?
Yes, for our campus, we have budget for the lecturer, Dr. Vasilias. So each of us could have some competency certificates, so they can choose. For me, I have many certificates for competencies, just like QCRO for Qualified Chief of Risk Officer, CDM for Certified Digital Marketing, CCC for Certified Content Creator. So we can choose the thing that we want to be professional in some of knowledge. So some of them having the competency for entrepreneurship also, to become supervising of the entrepreneurship. So there is a budget for the lecturer to do it.
But that's very interesting, especially for the for institution and universities with staff that is changing, comes transient, not local. Sometimes these certifications can come in useful for that, to avoid that one size fits all, like most of the authors have said, which is the biggest problem with international education, because you will take the program, but sometimes it doesn't really apply in the local context. And from the part of the university, they are giving you the program, but it's not really, after that, it is not really part of their own responsibility. So in my sense. So if there is no question, I will open the floor, if you like, to questions. And Doctor, would you like to discuss, explain this international forum?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Vasilis. So first of all, I think that the group of the author that you lead for this book chapter is something that remarkable. So I think if it only ended by the launching of the book, maybe it's very unfortunate. So I think it must be better for us to continuing the group of this the author, because the theme that you suggest for the book chapter, maybe we can continue for another theme. We can discussing about how to evaluate, how to make the scoring about after we discussing about the curriculum. I think it must be fruitful if we discussing about how to evaluate the agenda for entrepreneurship and how to managing the community service for supporting entrepreneurship. So there's a lot of things that we can make another book chapter. So my idea is about how to set the international forum that the author could be expand into another campus, another country. So we begin with the author from your book chapter, and then we continuing with others campus. We invite another lecturers to contribute in the next book chapter. So that's my idea. So hopefully maybe the next we can continuing for annually activity for this webinar. So we continuing to write another book chapter, and we doing the webinar annually in this June. So every June we can share our new book.
I think
that's my idea.
If you can share it to us, this idea, and we can extend, and if any of the authors are interested, overall is very useful to show extension, outside of your country. So you, as a guest speaker, as a visiting, as a collaboration, as even a media news article of practice, even online. So I think if you can extend this, Doctor, invitation, and then we can see if any of the authors, plus the ones not here, would like to begin such a collaboration. I'm not sure if anyone here would like to add to that, or has anything any points they would like to add to such a collaboration or an interest. I mean, it's not a set in stone, but it is always good to have a network, including for your research. Many of the universities are good places for data collection, for example, of local industry. So they're all very good things to have as a big network to extend. And I saw your message, Dr. Isabel. I know it was fine, and you were very, very, very good and very, very interesting. Thank you.
Yes. Besides of doing the activity for writing together for join book chapter, maybe we can invite for each other also to giving insight how to doing business, how to doing entrepreneurship in other country. So I bet that most of us having class for entrepreneurship. So maybe based on this group, we can invite for each other. So hopefully that we can make a WhatsApp group for this author, and we can expand the activity. It's not only for book chapter, but we can set a joint research, joint publication, joint course, and so on and so on.
We will
Hopefully
send
then,
an email later and update authors and see from there if that
okay.
is okay.
Okay,
Does
so
anyone
if the author
ask?
agree, maybe we can set the WhatsApp group together, and based on the WhatsApp group, we can discussing many things. Maybe we can discussing the next FGD. Something that come out in my mind is setting internal forum for entrepreneurship enthusiasts. So it could be from academician and it could be from practitioners that we join in this international forum to discussing many things, how to support entrepreneurship in each of our country and our campus. And the leader I'm suggesting must be you, Dr. Vasilis, because you initiate the idea for book chapter activity. So I think it's better to be you as the leader for the international forum for entrepreneurship enthusiasts.
I like this idea, and we can start with an email because, of course, some authors may not be interested, but we can create such a community, and then from there there can be guest collaborations, from visiting even to basic things, like I said, a news article. There is always something that each university, each staff can share or can have to offer. Data, students, webinar online. It's a good to have such a community.
Yes.
But I also think that it is important to remember this is a community of international educators in local context. So that is that value. So it's a particular set of knowledge that you don't see, in every people who have taught specifically in very different contexts.
Yeah.
I find that that's quite interesting. This is not a matter of time zone, matter of language skill, or a matter of English or French or any language you like. It's a matter of knowing a lot of specific contexts, which is not that easy.
Yeah. You can see in the chat box also, Dr. Vasilis, that Dr. Joy Akahome and Sansumo Hire supporting the idea.
We will see then when we are done from there. That is wonderful. So does anybody have any questions you would like to also ask? I know it's been a long session. It's wonderful. Thank you for coming to this. Anyone who would like to ask the authors anything, or in the future, of course, you can send an email if you like, but ask the authors. Probably not want to ask me. You've seen enough of me, but but I want to any questions. Feel free. The authors are still here. We have participants. Anyone want to ask something? Of course, I can see we have as well with us authors that haven't presented but do have a chapter. But Dr. Selwyn for Bahamas is with us, and thank you very much. I believe though that is Dr. Fabrice
Elona Ndlovu
in the
want to say
Rwanda
something,
chapter.
I guess.
Sorry, Dr. Elona.
Please, Dr. Elona.
I just wanted to say it's actually been really great for me to learn from everybody. There's quite a lot of similarities, even across the different contexts. I think in our isolation as entrepreneur educators, sometimes you think, am I doing something wrong? So I just wanted to ask the room, in terms of educating the Gen Zs, I have found it
a bit old. I don't know what that is, but I'll leave you to it.
It's particularly challenging because I think in terms of didactic conversation, they don't really respond, but somehow you see it in their assignments that actually, oh, they got it. Or if you must teach online, then it's totally, they send thumbs up or a heart, if anything. So how are you guys finding the Gen Z in educating something that we want to be so interactive, but they generally don't really want to? I'm not sure if maybe even the students can answer or somebody. Yeah.
Anybody want to answer that?
Maybe we can discussing for another time. That's become our good topic for discussion, Dr. Vasilis. How to deal with Gen Z.
Just to a quick hint, I think of what you're talking about Gen Z is you're saying that it's a bit hard to judge whether they are engaging because of the quiet, maybe. In my
Yes.
yeah. So then you find out, oh, but they actually did great, right, compared to other more vocal students. It's a good question. I mean, in my time, I'm not that old, but when I was a student, if you were very bad, you just didn't go to class. If you are very good, so people used to skip. Today, everybody goes, so I can't tell. Is this person going to be good or bad? So there isn't such a thing. So it does change quite a bit. But I think the way I see it is by going one-to-one with a student, going around the class and asking perhaps, and then you get a bit of a sense. And sometimes if you put them in groups, that's a little thing I do. They tend to be more vocal with each other. So by walking around, you see that when they're with each other, you can tease out their real skill set. Then against the educator sometimes. That's maybe one way.
Yeah.
That's the way I see
And
it.
the other thing is would be about to challenge them.
Now you
Challenging
are
them is
talking
something that
a lot,
important.
So
Yeah, I would like to also to contribute in the same sense as is it Dr. Harris? Yeah,
No,
challenging
Dr.
them,
Harris
but
already left us because he has
okay.
another activity.
Sorry. So yeah, I was saying it's more about how we are linking with their environment, because the Gen Zs are now living in the era of technology, AI, YouTube, etc. So they have access to a lot of information, and we need to be able to interact with them. We need to put ourselves in the environment, and also to be able to anticipate the labor market they are going to face. Because when you are talking to them just using the traditional approach of teaching and using the traditional theories, sometimes they don't relate to it. They see that it's not something that they're going to face in the future, and then you end up losing them. So to me, I think to be able to look at their environment, and anticipate how things are evolving, and try to actually somehow, I'm avoiding to say adopt their language, their Gen Z's language. I think, yeah, that's how I see it. Yeah.
Maybe I like to explain why they're doing something. And I find in education, in just teaching something, assuming that I know, everyone knows that this is the most valuable thing on the world that you are hearing now, I don't think is the best approach. I like to explain to the student, you have to learn this because it will give you not only a job, but it will give you X skill, I believe many times that disconnect is not explained very well. So it is sometimes assumed that, okay, here's the syllabus, everyone guarantees this is what you need. Listen. So I find with the Gen Zs that it's good to explain that a bit better, and it does motivate them. Part of my motivation also is you will not pass, so that usually helps you to study. But you explain clearly that element, yes, from the first day, because that this is the syllabus, this is what you need for a bare pass. It's good to clarify that from day one. But generally speaking, I find that it does trigger their interest more because, like you say, Dr. Silas, just speaking, this is the theory, this is the syllabus. They don't find it as engaging. There's always the why am I here kind of thing, I don't want to call it self-entitlement, but you have to explain, why you are here. Yeah, so I find that this is quite good because they have a lack of focus, and a lot of the time there is this element, and many things are done through mobile, which is not exactly what it should look like. And we have a lot of problems with that. People get wrong guidance, they don't follow, they open every document on a mobile phone, and I think, yeah, I mean, it's not professional. I told you, in real life, that will not happen. Or if it does, I'd be worried. But why you are doing everything on a mobile phone? And I said 3, you say 4. I say apple, you say pear. And then so I tell my own partner too, use a computer or don't look at it. Because we have had students say submit to the wrong portal, and then They keep, oh, I thought it was portal A, portal B. But I said, stop using your phone, you know, you have to write it in capital letters in emails. Stop using your phone, you're wasting administration's time. So as a lot of it is a lack of focus, I think. And like you said, I agree with your method of explaining why. Because there is this, maybe from TV or live, that you can do everything on the mobile for some reason.
Yes.
All you have to do is scroll. You never have to type anything in life. So all you have to do is scroll left and right. And I tell my own PhD student who had a lot of trouble editing and needed like 3 softwares. And eventually I told her, why don't you do it by hand? You know, just edit by hand. So you do that by hand? I said, yes. And then you memorize it. Your brain is used to looking at it. So why do you need 3 softwares for everything? Anyways, bye, Isabel. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Hi, Vasilias.
Thank you, everyone.
Hi, Selwyn.
I just wanted to make a couple of observations, if I could, about the presentations.
Can you introduce yourself also kindly?
Yeah, thank you for those. I found them quite interesting. What I found most interesting, though, was that a lot of presentations touched on the idea of entrepreneurship theory. And that makes me nervous when I hear that, because entrepreneurship by its nature is a pragmatic, practical subject. And it can never lend itself to a universal theory. So anytime I hear people talking about theory in relation to entrepreneurship, I think, well, perhaps we could be better guided there. I like the point that several presentations touched on design thinking. Design thinking is a first step in innovation. It's about problem solving. It's a total problem solving network, identifying problems, finding solutions for those problems. And of course, innovation is the differentiator for entrepreneurship, not starting a business.
No,
and this is another false narrative.
It doesn't reflect that way.
It's another false narrative around the subject. And the third thing I notice is the reactions to some of the presentations. I mean, entrepreneurship is essentially about choices. We can't create products or innovations for every single problem on the surface of the earth. So we do it for one. We choose one or two or a group of products that relate, and we focus on developing those. So if someone chooses soap over hand detergent, that's fine. That's the choice being made to progress with those resources and that support to get that product off the line. So I think there's some things we can bring into our teaching that would make it a better, more rounded subject, because the commonalities in entrepreneurship are clear. Mindset. We're all human beings. We will have the same repeat mindset across 100, 1,000, 1 million entrepreneurs. When we get to context or the process will be similar no matter where we are. But when we get to context, the jurisdiction, as we saw with Dr. Heather's presentation, and we look at what's going on in the Emirates, that context is totally different from the UK. It's totally different from Rwanda. It's totally different from America. And we will never have a similar context within it which to operate. So the commonality at that level will always disappear. Yeah. And if we can bear these things in mind, I think we will be better entrepreneurship educators and better able to communicate our ideas to students so that they can get it. Because I think right now the false narratives around the subject are misleading to them. They don't have to start a business to be defined as an entrepreneur. It's not a defining thing. Peter Drucker said that back in 1984. Yep. Innovation is the defining principle of entrepreneurship. And we start at that point of solving problems.
I
anyway, that's my spiel. But thank you very much for the presentations.
Well, thank you, and for your chapter. I think you're right, but the book deals with how we teach what today is entrepreneurship. Whether we don't advocate that you have to be an entrepreneur. So that's the difference. I agree. I mean, but unfortunately, that is the narrative today. Like, first look to become an entrepreneur and then try to get a job in many contexts. And then there is the part B, where in many countries you deal with the market. In others, I'm an entrepreneur, say in the UK, but all I've ever seen is some grants and funds. Never sold anything. So unfortunately, I agree. And as for the theory, there is these days a called, if you like, it's essentially small business now called entrepreneurship theories that are being added. So you can use it as everything in the literature. But yes, many things that are sub topics, if you like, now start drifting as a scientific field. You could have today, for example, professor in entrepreneurship. And as you say, so you have to be very careful with these nuances. But what's good with the book is that it shows teaching practice. So it is not our responsibility to advocate whether you should be an entrepreneur. It shows how every university and institution deals with creating and teaching this subject. So I'm afraid that you're rightly so with what you say. The nuances I'm hoping are cleared in time. But just like all the mini courses we have, which is a 3-month training course, and then suddenly you start a business and no one follows you a year later. What happened to this person? So in the UK, it's full of those. But that is not part of our book.
Yeah. Of course. In my case, the Bahamas, we were left with an economic model by the UK when we became independent back in 1973. That basically said you were going to be a professional services economy. So everybody who comes out of school from 73 up until pretty recently was dead set on one of the professions: accounting, engineering, medicine, etc. And that's what everybody who had the resources to go studied. Nobody studied business. And the program I focus on was probably the first most comprehensive program of its kind in the country, because we then decided to look at the discipline and all of its aspects, but as it relates to that very challenging context, which is again very different from anywhere else. The challenges we had a barrier of a local authority that was subordinate to the government. So they made rules and regulations that had to be met. And then on top of that, entrepreneurial wannabes were having to meet government regulations, federal regulations above that. So, I mean, that makes for a lot of challenges at the local entrepreneurship level. And it's trying to get students to come up with the how to deal with these things.
It is complicated, and if you remove the digital, the digital part allows us to be an intermediary, in essence, a middleman. But in reality, you are neither producing nor servicing. But it allows for a lot of people to say, "You, Selwyn, make a spoon. I will sell it in the UK. Here I am, businessman." But